Steven interviews you. Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Steven Interviews You. This is episode number 12. And this is just a series where I sit down and have a casual chat with a very special guest. And his name would be, introduce yourself.
I'm Darrien Starling. Glad to be here, Stephen. Thanks for inviting me on.
Thanks for being here, Darrien. So let's just get started. So in recent times, I discovered your YouTube channel, Darrien Starling. That's the name of it. So starting right there, what what basically inspired you to start making YouTube videos in general? What really got the ball rolling?
Yeah, I think I just got a passion for ball, man. One of the things whenever I was coming out of college, I didn't get an opportunity to obviously play at the next level and go pro or any of that type of thing, right? But I wanted to still be associated with the game. So even while I was in college, I was exploring opportunities to be in sports media. I interviewed for the director of communications for UTSA Athletics, or not interviewed. I'm sorry, I interned with those folks, and I learned a lot about trimming the box scores and doing things like that. And so I've always had a passion for it. I started a sports blog at the time while I was playing. I still have an old I still have an old photo of me doing sort of the bit where they, like, if I make a play, they put me on a jumbotron, I have the ball, and in the little graphic about me next to the side says, hey, he writes a sports blog, and I plugged my sports blog at the time. So I've always sort of had a desire to stay in sports and be a part of sports media. And as I got into adulthood, it eventually became a really big hobby of mine, and I really enjoyed doing it. So all of that, eventually, as content has evolved over time, it has led me to YouTube, and that's why I do my channel.
So it seems like you do a variety of videos for your channel, mainly, of course, UTSA related content. But I've also noticed other videos like MMA, NFL, NBA. Uh, what inspired you to make those videos?
Yeah, I mean, listen, so I have a lot of sports interest. I'm like a sports fanatic, so I watch MMA regularly. I watch, I don't miss a UFC card, whether it's a pay-per-view or a fight night, right? I think NFL, obviously, I'm a crazy NFL person, even NBA basketball, everything. So I was just trying to find, like, what content, what piece of my content reaches people. So I wanted to put fillers out there to see, like, what people respond to, and people responded really well to UTSA. So I think I do have a desire to branch off and cover things a little bit more broadly, but man, the algorithms are tough, dude. So right now, the only thing people care to hear me talk about is UTSA football and some other college sports, and that's what I'm doing for now until I can find a way to make that leap to bigger and better things.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned about the YouTube algorithm. I've had those same issues too, starting out with my channel. I've had to recently had to condense stuff just to keep it more central focus to just a few things and not a whole bunch of things. So I totally get that.
Yeah.
So going on to UTSA, because that's that's the main part of this. The UTSA Roadrunners, UTSA athletics in general. So you're a fan of them. What started your journey uh, to become a fan of UTSA? What got you going for UTSA?
Playing there. I
Playing there.
think,
Okay.
yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. I was a part of the first ever team. I signed there. I was a part of the original 18. And be there's nothing like being the first, and like having a part of history and being etched in history in that way. And I am someone that loves hard when I have a team. I love my Dallas Cowboys, and I know we're going through a tough time, but I love my Dallas Cowboys. I love my, European football club, Manchester United. I love them. I and the Roadrunners. I obviously, I mean, you can see with my shirt, I'm a road runner, through and through, right? So that's what started sort of my fandom. And as I moved on, went through my career as a player, I've stayed close with the program ever since. So I'm a literal day one UTSA football person from from playing there, suiting up, blood and sweat for the. I got all kinds of scars and football, sore bones that won't get back in the right place. I got all that stuff for UTSA, man. So that's where the fandom starts.
Yeah, about San Antonio, Texas. That seems to be one of the, for me, it seems to be one of my favorite big cities to do research on in general, not just for sports, but for anything. So, could you walk me through what the culture is like in San Antonio when it comes to college sports since you were there?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think the culture when I was there, it was very like folks were like it was kind of an infectious environment, right? Like UTSA football at the time was very new. So there was a lot of energy around it. And I think for the most part, San Antonio has kept it that way. San Antonio is a city though where you have to win for them to pay attention. And I think if you're not winning, there's a lot of other things for folks in San Antonio to go do. So San Antonio is about winning teams, and it's a great city with a lot of great people. They love their Spurs more than anything, so that's a hard thing to compete with. I think when you think about San Antonio over the last however many years, like the Kawhi days, the Tim Duncan days, they were just used to winning championships and being in that realm. And I think that is sort of them being used to that has set the standard so high. So for colleges to come in, they have to be like razor sharp to capture the attention and the minds and the hearts of the San Antonio fan base. And sometimes we do it, sometimes folks do it well and sometimes people struggle. But I love the San Antonio, the folks and the fans that supports the teams.
Yeah. So, so you mentioned that you played for UTSA.
Mhm.
Uh, could you could you like recall a like a moment or a game that you were involved in that was really significant? Like yeah, something to look back on. It's like yeah, that was one of those wild
Yeah.
games.
Yeah, I think the first game, I'll just put it out there. Like the first game, I'll give you two, but the first game was insane. 57,000 people. Larry Coker running us out the tunnel. And I've never heard. I mean, I've been in the Alamo Dome for the Valero Bowl. I've never heard a game as loud as that one. And maybe because I was on the field or whatever, but it was insanely loud. That is something that only a handful of people are able to do. Across their lifetime. And the fact that us, being a part of the group of guys who was able to experience that and be on the field and be cheered on by all those people that'll never be light on my mind. I would also say another one that was significant was U of H. So we played U of H in 2014. It was a really big game for us at the time, and we were expecting big things from our team because that was my senior year. Um, in 2014 or whatever. So we were expecting big things against that squad, but they were coming in and they had expectations and they were supposed to be good. And they scheduled us to open up the season in their brand new stadium. So they got a new stadium built. So we were supposed to be the team that they were going to come in and beat up on in their new stadium. And they packed that joker out and we dominated that game. We won that game 27-7. And one of the big things about that is our cornerback room did an awesome job, and we all made big plays in that game, and we all had a significant impact on the outcome of that game. And it was just a blast, and that's one of the most memorable moments of my career.
Yeah, that's great. So you mentioned the Alamo Dome, and
Mhm.
it's been like a topic around UTSA lately. I've heard good things about the Alamo Dome, how it's a great place to play in and to just take in the game. Um, uh, what are the plans from what you gather? What are the plans for the Alamo Dome going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll be there, or UTSA will be there for a while. They're not going anywhere from the dome. I think they with the Project Marvel thing, as long as that goes off pretty well. So if you don't know what Project Marvel is, this like big initiative in San Antonio where they're going to spend like a couple $1 billion on basically renovating the downtown area, putting a new stadium for or arena for the Spurs, and then having basically the entire like that entire downtown area to become sort of like an entertainment sports entertainment spot where people can go and have fun. They're going to bring a lot of bars and a lot of activities for fans and things like that. And part of that would be some upgraded renovations to the Alamodome. And it wouldn't be necessarily strictly for UTSA, but UTSA would get the benefit of it because the Alamo Dome is the home turf. So I think that is what's on the horizon over the next, I would say, 5 or so years. I would say 2030 ish. So yeah, Alamo Dome's great, man. I don't think we're leaving.
So I mentioned that because I did hear some of one of your most recent shows when you interviewed UTSA athletic director Lisa Campos.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, I assume that got mentioned at some point about the Alamo Dome. What was that interview like with Lisa Campos? What information do you think you got from that?
Yeah, I think the interview was all right to me. I like some people definitely let me know their feelings about it, about like, oh, they thought I was a little soft on her. And here's my perspective on that, right? I asked her everything that I felt like people want to ask her. I didn't shy away from any questions. I just probably didn't pry or was not as aggressive as people would want to be. But there's one thing to talk, or there's one thing to be like super bold or to be like super inflammatory online and things like that, and then actually having a real interaction with somebody. And from my standpoint, I've never been I'm not the like super loud person online that's trying to stir up a lot of mess, but I am going to ask questions that are uncomfortable for people to answer. Well, it seems like it's uncomfortable for people to answer. I asked her quite a bit of those questions, and she had answers for me. She definitely she definitely ran away from some answers or gave me a very politician like response to some of them, and I found a couple of different ways to ask the question, and she didn't really play ball with some of those. So then you just move on, right? I don't think you want to make sure for the time you had her, because I had her for 30 minutes and I went over. They told me 20, 30 minutes. I had her for like 36, 37. um, so I try to make sure that everything that I prepared for I got out, and I did, and that was my goal. So I think I didn't scare her away. I'm sure she'll come back on the show if when the time comes up. But I thought the interview went pretty well. I'm not a person who does interviews. I'm not very good at them. At least I don't feel like I'm good at them. Some people had some good things to say. Some people didn't have great things to say. But whenever I feel like the fan base or my audience really really wants me to do something, I try to appease them. So I went for it. I think it went well though.
Yeah, from what I've heard from that interview, I think you did a good job, man. I really
I
do think
appreciate it.
that. So yeah, I definitely got something out of it. So yeah. So sticking with UTSA, just specifically about the team, the football program, other sports, of course. I want to talk about rivalries real fast. Yeah, so there are probably a few that already come to mind. If you could like come up with a short list of rivalries that you know UTSA is involved in, and you can describe them for me, what would they be?
Yeah, so from a football standpoint, so the first one is the obvious one, is Texas UTSA and Texas State. It's the I-35 rivalry. There's a trophy, I-35 showdown trophy that's presented after that game. It's intense, man. Like Texas State and UTSA people don't like each other, and I just think about being at the tailgates last week, and every time a Texas State person walked around, every single tailgate turned around and just gave them a lot of boos and insults as they walked through. So yeah, it's a fun one. UTSA has done quite well in that one, even though the last 2 years we've gotten beat. Um, Another one I think is that's really good is UTSA and UNT, and the the Twitter or like the discourse between the fans is not as in like it's not as chaotic as it is with Texas State because they are in Denton and UTSA is in San Antonio. However, the games are always electric. It's always high scoring, and it always comes down to the end. I remember what was it? I think it was my senior year, or I think it was my junior year. This is 2013. We played them up in, or maybe it was my senior year, but we played them up in Denton, and it was one of the coldest games I think I'd ever played in, to be honest. But I just remember, even going back then, I think we won it with a game-winning interception at the very end of the game by a good friend of mine, Bennett Okacha. And then I think about, a few years after that, there was a back and forth game that went into overtime and UTSA lost a heartbreaker. So anyway, I say that to say the UTSA and UNT game is always a big one. And another one that went away that we don't have anymore, but us against U of H was some really good battles. Was some really good battles. I feel like UTSA needs to do what they can to get that back on the schedule, if they can. But I think one of the things Lisa Campos said to me I think last week, she told me that UTSA is hard to book because a lot of these teams don't want to play us unless it's a UT or Texas A&M. So it'll be hard for a team like U of H, who's in the Big 12, to say, "I want to play UTSA." That's a tough game for them, right? So yeah, those are the three teams that I want to highlight here.
Yeah. I could tell when it comes to rivalries because the team I follow, the Ohio Bobcats, not the Texas State Bobcats, the Ohio
Okay.
Bobcats.
Yeah.
I know what it's like. Rivalries. I can't stand Miami of Ohio, the Miami of Ohio
Okay.
Redhawks. Yeah,
Okay.
Mac.
Yeah.
Uh, it's one of those. It's kind of funny because I always hear about Ohio State, Michigan, that rivalry, and the MAC. We have like three teams in Michigan, but I don't care about them compared to Miami of
Yeah.
Ohio. It's like I can't stand Miami of Ohio. I
Yeah.
just can't. It's just they're always in our way. It's called the Battle of the Bricks, by the way. That
I,
rivalry. That's
I
the
like
yeah.
that.
And
Did you attend Ohio?
no, but
Okay.
I've just been following the
Yeah.
Bobcats. And funny thing is that I started my show Bobcat Corner February 2024. I had no
Yeah.
idea what the Ohio Bobcats were going to do that year.
Yeah.
And of course, they won the MAC. They won the Mid American
Yeah.
Conference last year, first time since 1968. So yeah, to be able to beat your arch rival in the MAC championship game, it's like, you know, icing on the cake, so to speak. So
Right.
yeah, so I know about rivalries. So yeah, moving right along. But before I do, yeah,
Mhm.
about scheduling UTSA. Uh, maybe the next time you get in contact with Lisa Campos, maybe you can put in a good word for the Ohio Bobcats eventually down the road.
Okay. Okay. See, I don't
Not,
want to do that because I don't want us to become enemies for a week. But yeah, I'll
but
see what I can do. I'll see what I can do.
it's one of those like dream matches. It's like
Yeah.
UTSA. I would not mind playing a game against them once in a while. So yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, the conference that UTSA plays in, which would be the American Conference. Um,
Mhm.
when it comes to the conference realignment, I've heard like rumors and possible stories about
Yeah.
UTSA might be going to a new conference or not. Um, what are your feelings generally about the American Conference? Where where do you think it's going as a conference, and do you like having the UTSA Roadrunners in the American?
Yeah, I think it's the perfect spot for UTSA and where they are. I think, and the reason I say that is because from an athletics standpoint, UTSA has punched above their weight for quite some time. And I think, we started doing that. We started off doing that. So our first season when I was there, we were a FCS independent school. So that's the type of schedule we played, right? And then 2012, which is my second season, we joined the Western Athletic Conference, the WAC, which is no longer around. But that was our jump to FBS. And then after one season there, then we jumped to Conference USA. And the reason I bring those up is because think about it, we went from FCS independence to the WAC, and we went 7-5. No, we went 8-4 that season. And then our first season in Conference USA, we went 7-5. So for a startup program jumping into FBS competition and being able to immediately compete is huge, right? And we've been competing and holding our weight for a while. And then after 10 years or so, Coach Trailer comes in and he actually brings us Conference USA championships back to back. So whenever I think about the move to the American, that's a step up from the Conference USA. But what I like about that is, okay, we can probably we not even probably we showed last year in other sports. You look at women's basketball, and you look at the baseball team, they won the conference, right, already in the American. So we are competing, and UTSA didn't do bad, hadn't done bad in conference since we've been from a football standpoint either. So when you take that into consideration, we're already competing with the top of the conference. So the what I'm happy about is we're competitive, but there's so much room to grow because we still need to get our feet under us from a fundraising standpoint so we can start to look at these other opportunities, right? Like the Pac-12 came knocking at the door and they gave, I think they formally invited UTSA and we rejected it. And the Pac-12 situation is just weird right now. But I'm glad we weren't able to take something like that because the expectations would have been higher. There'd been more and more pressure to like generate funds that we just don't have to be competitive with some of the schools. And I think the schools that are in there, we athletically be competitive with them, but they're going to have a lot more deeper pockets than we are. And that over time is going to show itself. And the gap, I think the gap is going to would start to show itself. And who wants to be in a conference where you're at the bottom of the barrel every time? I'm not saying UTSA would, but you know how it is. As you know, year after year, if these teams have more and more resources to put themselves in a better position to win games, that compounds over time and it'll make it even tougher for UTSA to continue to punch above its weight. So I think the American Conference is a perfect space for us to be in right now. I hope that we stay here for the foreseeable future until we're able to get our fundraising to a point to move and look elsewhere. But yeah, I like the American Conference. I think we're good in it.
Yeah, it's just the ever-changing landscape of college sports with conference realignment.
Yep.
You can't help but look around because there have been many times where schools, it looks like they're not going to be changing conferences, but then before you know it, they already do. They change
Right.
conferences. So
Yep.
yeah, because the Ohio Bobcats, my team, we have not been exempt from rumors of possible conference
Mhm.
jumping. Like not too long ago, we were like caught up in rumors that we might be down the road joining the Sun Belt Conference,
Oh wow.
but that's just in a rumor stage right now, in my opinion. Although I think there might be something to it down the road,
Yeah.
but we'll see. Anyway, yeah. As far as expectations go for a UTSA, uh, in the short term and probably long term, when it comes to on the field success for the Roadrunners, uh, because you know how UTSA fans are. What are really the expectations for the Roadrunners going forward? No
Yeah,
matter what happens this year.
yeah, I think an American championship conference title is the expectation. Um, like I said about San Antonio, man, you got to win in San Antonio. It's a tough place, especially if you are someone who has already won, which Coach Traylor has. So he doesn't get the benefit of, oh, we're in a rebuild and we're trying to redo our team. No, San Antonio folks, like for example, I'm really worried about who's going to show up to San Antonio or UTSA's game this weekend because we've started out 0-2 because people are going to overreact to some of this stuff because the San Antonio fan is super, super demanding and they have very high standards. So I think just overall, like I think in general, a conference title is the expectation from fans. For me, I need to. I would have liked to see improvements, or I would like to see improvements going forward from them. So to me, I think last year was not great, even though we ended the season really well. And this year it hasn't started great because we lost the game I expected us to win. So I think 8 games for UTSA this season is a marker for me where I feel like 9 games should be, but now I'm amending it because we already lost a game I didn't expect us to lose, and now I have even more questions if I'm being honest. But I think I think Coach Traylor has to win 8 games this year, has to, or it's going to be turmoil in San Antonio.
Mm. So, um, to further expand on college sports, um, the entire landscape, it's like it's changed in recent years.
Yeah.
We're talking about the college football playoff expanding, talk about NIL, transfer portal, all that. Where do you see, in your opinion, Darian, where do you see college sports heading when it comes to things like that, governance, including that as well?
Yeah.
Where do you see it going?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think it's going to continue to look more like a professional sport as time goes. It's already looking a lot like that right now. I think some of the infrastructure that they're trying to put in place for to regulate the pay is basically pro sports at this point in time. They're just, it's just going to be done throughout the schools. I'm gonna tell you this, like, and this is kind of like a wild thing that it's not really being said, but at some point, I feel like the schools may not be the way to go. Like at some point, something is going to happen to where I just think there's going to be another lane for college athletes to go, and or just athletes to go and football players to go. And I don't, I'm a little worried about that. But yeah, I think I am happy that players are getting paid, but in terms of governance, in terms of the way things are going, and in terms of just remaining compliant with just your standard, like I'll give you an example. After the UTSA game, I was I was hanging with some friends after the game, and some folks who are well connected with, just well connected within the college football space. And I just remember a coach calling this person I was with, a head coach of a notable program, calling this person I was with, and then the head coach, through that person I was with, was asking me about a player on UTSA's roster that they are having conversations with. What kind of guy is he? You know what I mean? So like
Wow.
they it is crazy how much like and I don't know exactly what their tampering rule, but I just know in general it's probably unethical in a way to like go and directly recruit someone's player like during the season, but after a game, like so and go as far as having conversations with those people. So anyway, I just think they just got to put some guardrails around all of this, because it's chaos right now.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I share like the same thoughts because I've seen college sports in general change over the last few years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to keep
Oh
up
yeah.
with all of it, man. It's it gives me pause for concern on my end because
Right.
I mean we're both UTSA and Ohio. We're both a group of five, group of six conference
Mhm.
schools, and it's hard for me in particular. It's hard for me to trust the big boys, so to speak, the Power Four, Autonomy Four, whatever you want to call them,
Yeah.
especially the Big Ten, SEC. It's hard for me to trust the leadership of those conferences that they're going to do right by everybody and not just by themselves. So
Yeah, they're not.
yeah, I wanted to get to that because it kind of segues into this, the college football playoff. Now we're hearing stuff about possibly. expanding to 24 teams, or however many teams there's going to be. Uh, First off, Darian, do you think that the group of six conferences should be allowed to participate in the college football playoff?
So I think yes. So yes, I do think they should be able to compete. Like they should, if you're gonna do 24 teams, like you should give like I don't know 4 of those slots to a group of 5 schools. Like we got to play for something, right? You got to play for something. Um, how those 4 teams are decided, it would probably get all politicky or whatever. But like, got to be playing for something because, in my opinion, you either do that or you actually acknowledge Power Four and G6 or G5, whatever you want to call it, and you give the G5 a playoff of their own and split the leagues. I'd prefer that because here's the thing. Yeah, you can go win a conference title, right? But people want to be real champions of something, right? You want something meaningful. And I'm not saying the conference title isn't meaningful, but like it's not meaningful to play a bowl game after that if that's all you get.
Right.
When you got the people in these bigger conferences, right? They win their conference, and guess what? They get to go compete for a national title. So to me, I'm like, split the leagues, acknowledge, these conferences or the power conferences. That's fine. These conferences are not the power conferences; they're the group of 5 or whatever. And let us play for something meaningful and give guys an opportunity to be in a playoff type situation. You want to talk about? I mean, to me, it's a win-win for everybody because the group of 5 teams now they got something big to play for. Now all the guys don't have to, oh, we're gonna go to I'm gonna enter the transfer portal immediately and go to a Power 5 school, so I'm gonna forego the bowl game and all that. The bowl games are meaningless at this point because the college football playoff is all people are interested in. So, in my opinion, you split the leagues, you have a playoff, and this people love playoffs. You know how many people will be glued to their seats if we had nothing but playoffs and something to play for?
Oh
Could
yeah.
you imagine how packed those games would be for a group of 5 schools? It'll help them make more money. It'll help bring more notoriety to those schools. And if I'm thinking about the networks, they're going to benefit because they're going to have a ton of people tuned in to watch these playoff games because of how exciting and edge of the seats everybody will be on. So I don't know what they're waiting on. I feel like it's going to happen at some point, but there's this weird thing where they don't want to really acknowledge some of these things, and I think it's holding us back a bit.
You know what? That was wonderful what I just heard, Darian, because you and me, we're on the same page when it comes to that. I'm of the opinion it's like, guys, just go one way or the other. If you want
Right.
to have the current CFP as it is right now, then you got to start acknowledging the group of 5, group of 6 a little bit more.
Of course.
Because I've heard all this stuff about automatic qualifying bids. It's like, oh, give the Big Ten and SEC all these bids and just keep giving the group of 5 just one. No, it's not going to work long term. So
Yeah.
either acknowledge the group of 6 a little bit more, or just have that split, have that breakaway that people keep talking about, and
Yeah.
just let the group of 6 do their own thing.
I,
So
I,
yeah, I'm totally on board with you, Darian, when it comes to that. So
yep, I agree.
yeah. So I think we can wrap this up with one last question. This
Okay.
is just a basic question. Back to YouTube, your YouTube channel, Darrien Starling. Um, in summary, uh, what advice would you give new content creators? What advice would you give them if they wanted to start their own YouTube channel and they wanted to start making their own videos?
Yeah, I mean, look, me with my 1,300 subscribers, probably not the person to give advice. But what I will say is start because I did start from zero, and I worked my tail off to get every single subscriber I got, and it has been tough. And it is taking a lot of patience. Now I understand that I am cornering a very small market, a niche market, so I'm not going to have a ton of subscribers based on what I'm covering right now. But I would just say get started. The second thing I would say, which I have a little bit more, I think I don't know if credit's the right word, but where I've had a lot more success is probably on Twitter or X. I think I've built a pretty good following there, and since I've been able to do that, or just my way of doing that is being consistent, having a plan and a strategy about when to post, what time to post. And I would also always tell people, man, sign up for the newsletters that YouTube and that X and that these social media platforms um just sign up for them, because now in my day job I happen to work for one of these companies. So like the reason I say that, I don't do anything on like, I do contracts. I don't do anything like algorithm related or anything like that. But sometimes I do sit in some on webinars and things like that when people are just like talking about some of this stuff. And they tell everyone exactly what the algorithm is. And it is crazy how a lot of people don't realize that if you cater to the algorithm, the algorithm will cater to you. And a lot of people's content does not match the algorithm. So I implore everyone to take some time, understand what the algorithm is, and when you really understand and grasp what it's asking for, it will shift your content and the way you present your content to the people, to the audience that you're presenting to, and it'll be better for you. They'll put it out there a lot more if you do that. I am, like I said, I don't have a huge following. It is very small, very niche market, but I went from zero to where I'm at now kind of quick, and it changed as soon as I start to craft my content the way these companies have put out that they want us to craft content. So anyway, that'd be my advice.
Yeah. So with that, this has been a great interview, Darian. You gave me more insight. You gave me more perspective on what's going on with San Antonio and UTSA in general. I really appreciate this, Darian. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
taking out your time to do this interview. And guys, if you like this content, please give this a like. Share this video with other college football fans that would be interested in this. This has been episode 12 of Steven Interviews You, and we'll be back with more content soon. Take care, guys.